There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Wright Flyer. I'm Randy Wright, and I'll be your captain. And as always, I'm joined by my first officer, Jeremy Grapenton. Folks, this will be the final boarding call, so if you please, claim your seats, fasten your seatbelts, kick back, relax, and enjoy the show while we go ahead and delve into the pre-flight checklist, because there really is a lot of news and information to get to before we may fully indulge you with your in-flight entertainment. Well, folks, here it is. We have had the Iowa caucus votes, and the results are in, and we here are proud to announce that the candidate that we have endorsed here at the Wright Flyer, Ted Cruz, has called in a narrow victory. To the people of the Hawkeye State, I want to extend a firm thank you and congratulations to the Cruz crew that has been working so hard and diligently to get the Texas senator to this point. May he go on to further victory. This is a proud day here in the United States of America because it means we are that much closer to putting our country back onto a path to strict adherence to the fundamental tenets that are contained within the four corners of our shared United States Constitution. Folks, we knew this would be a close one. After all, Donald J. Trump was doing everything within the power under his toupee to try and push forth the victory, but he just wasn't able to pull it through. Maybe it has something to do with these lawsuits that were against him back in 2013 for lying about being personally involved in Trump University and defrauding people out of tons of money while taking lots off the surface. Who knows? What we do know is that the right man for the job won in Iowa, and let's hope that he can pull off a miracle in New Hampshire. But even if he can't pull off a miracle in New Hampshire, at least we can say that he is that one step closer to securing the nomination for the Gutless Opposition Party, or GOP's nomination for the highest office in the land. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to extend a thanks to the Cruz crew that has been busy on Twitter and everywhere else doing everything to support this great candidate who will lead this country back towards constitutional originalism, which is absolutely what we need.
Oh, yeah. And this speaks volumes to, again, this whole thing of, Donald Trumpunzel, say, oh, well, we're going to make America great again. No, sorry, America has always been great. It always will be great. What Ted Cruz has proven tonight, along with the Cruz crew, Red Nation Rising, all of the folks over at Twitter that have, welcomed us, I'm getting with open arms. I mean, hell, Randy, we've been on Twitter for what, since Saturday? 3 days. 3 days. And already it's just this overpouring of generosity and
camaraderie, support.
Sure. And they all know, just as Ted Cruz knows, and what shows that people of Iowa, who are a lot smarter than Trump has given them credit for, is that they are taking the first step to, well, let's make America great. No, America has always been great. It always will be great because we have the Constitution, the longest contiguous document in the history of the world of freedom and liberty. What those folks have established is we're going to make America smart again. That's what that is all about.
Everywhere we turn in this country, we can feel the anger that people have been feeling, because when you look at what this Barack Hussein Obama regime has done to the United States of America, it has just been continual constitutional crisis after constitutional crisis, and it's all by design. It's because what Barack Hussein Obama has wanted to do is to divide and conquer this country, to set balkanization in, to, pit American against American. Well, Ted Cruz has the answer to uniting the American people, to bringing us back together with a true vision for what it is to have a unified character, heritage, spirit, and identity. That is what we need a rekindling of here in the United States. It's not that America ever stopped being great, because our Constitution is great. It will always be great. It's that we have been led astray by feckless, spineless weasels in the political political class, the detente wing of the gutless opposition party, has led us astray time and again. But we are now on the brink of a new renaissance here in the United States. And I'm just, feel so lucky to be a part of this in my young life. I've seen quite a bit happen in my short time on this earth, but this is perhaps the most exciting moment that I have seen in presidential politics as far back as I can remember.
Well, I got a feeling that it's going to get much more exciting, and it's going to make us much more proud. And I can't extend the words far enough to show people how proud I am of people actually, rising up above all of this banter, all of this feckless, this propaganda and everything. It shows that we the people, those that want to make America smart again, we the people are heads and shoulders above the quaff of power. and all of his, dandruff pixie dust that he scatters as he does his comb over, whatever. Tonight, we saw a cruise missile lock on to an individual who thought his suave tactics were going to ensure that his herbal essence of, make America great again. No, all of that was destroyed tonight. Absolutely destroyed. It's nothing but a pile of melted plastic and bubbly bottles laying about because the people, we the people, are beginning to speak, and we're going to keep speaking, and we're going to keep speaking louder.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
If they have a problem with it, too bad, because we the people are fed up. We're tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Sure, and we've got a true challenge up ahead. We have an uphill battle going into New Hampshire, but I do think we're going to see a shift. We're going to see a radical shift in the electorate because this is truly a momentum-building occasion. What we witnessed here in Iowa was to show that the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media got it all wrong. They didn't get it right. Their predictions were off. And it's like I've said before, these polls, they have been wrong more times than they've been right. And it is so good to see that a man of character pulled a victory in this caucus. The people of Iowa have good reason to be proud today, because what they have done is they have shown America that they still care about the future of this country, that they believe that this country is going to do well. And that is exactly what we need. I am so proud of the people of Iowa. They should all be proud of themselves because they pulled this off. They showed that they still hold values of our Constitution close to heart, and that is a message for all of America. America, let's come together. Let's support this man that is going to lead us back to the Constitution and therefore lead us to the path of a renewed American spirit, a renewed contract with America.
You know what else this shows, Randy? That the people of Iowa have never drank the water from Flint. It's just, they understood. They came together, and what surprised me, and this is actually a good thing, I would like to say thank you to Marco Rube -E-O.
E-I-E-I-O.
Yeah. See, folks, if you were paying attention to what was going on, I wasn't watching the caucuses. I could hear them. I was, gathering bits and pieces, information streaming on Twitter, Facebook, so on and so forth. And what I noticed was Trump would drop, Rubio would come up, but Cruz was consistent. Now, Trump is consistently inconsistent. Some of his followers, like @Ann Coulter, who is trotting off or I don't know, maybe
dashing off to New Hampshire to get her
something,
speaking engagement in so that she can get a little bit off the top. Yeah.
Flaring her arms out like the extensions of an umbrella and just catching some kind of wind to carry her there, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
They always they're talking, oh well, this is, we can still win it, so much fun. Yeah, you know what? The downplay is beginning with this. They're going to look at this and say, oh well, it's just it's not even a setback. We're going to go on. Even Reagan lost Iowa and blah. No, what it is showing and what they were trying to do is diminish the
Cruz's victory.
Not only that, not so much as Cruz's victory, but they're trying to diminish the integrity and the
voting process.
The essence of the voting process and of the voting people.
Yeah.
They have spoken, and they are going to continue to speak.
Absolutely. We are on the verge of taking our country back. This is what we have been hoping for ever since Obama seized that second reign of power. Hell, I'll say this is what we've been waiting for since he astonishingly took the presidency the first time around back in 2009. And, despite what all of the people in Iowa's government, like the governor Brandit, or whatever his last name is, and their Secretary of State, who was trying to say that Cruz was being fraudulent with those mailers that he put out, the vote-shaming mailers. But, Rubio did it. El Jefe Jeb Bush did it. Who else did it? Another, I think, Rick Santorum did it. And it's okay when they do it. It's just when Cruz does it. You see, it's this type of double standard that we see with this unprecedented attack on Cruz by members of Iowa's government that is disgraceful. They were just out to attack him because he was against the ethanol subsidies, but you don't need the government to subsidize ethanol to make it a viable business. Let the free market handle it. That is how it should be done, but that's certainly not what we're seeing from the government in Iowa. And I think that Iowa, we are in an election cycle. Maybe it's time to change your governor, because he's got a record for being one of the longest serving governors in your state's history. I think it's time that maybe he go.
Well, and it's not just that we don't need government to, subsidize things. The government has no authority to subsidize things. They have no constitutional authority to do that whatsoever. And I'm going to go back to this, hoping for this instance, a moment like this, since Obama was first elected. I'm going to go back so far as to say is that this country has been yearning for a moment like this since Calvin Coolidge left office. It's just sad that it has taken us this long to come to that realization. But you know what? Better late than never, because this is going to keep going. The Cruz missiles are going to keep flying, folks. That's just the way it's going to be, because it must be. This is our nation.
We are not going to relent. We are not going to let the Fabian socialists have this nation any longer. And you look right now, I don't know if they've called it for Hillary Clinton yet, or whether Neue Boy Me Sanders is still hanging in there. But you look, you have a battle between a so-called progressive who can't distinguish herself from a socialist and an avowed democratic socialist. That is not what this nation needs. We need the type of traditionalism that is personified and championed by Ted Cruz, and that is the first step that we've come to tonight. Now, granted, this is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end. But to steal this quote from Winston Churchill, it is perhaps the end of the beginning, and it is now time to move on to the next step to ensure that this country will not falter, that this country will once again embrace that great sacred document that is our shared Constitution. Remember, folks, what Jeremy and I have reiterated on past episodes of the Wright Flyer time and time again is that if you want to see this nation flourish, if you want to see us go back back to the lofty heights that we have achieved in our relatively short yet illustrious history in this world, then we need to once again embrace strict adherence to the United States Constitution, and that's what Ted Cruz will do. Donald J. Trump cannot win in the general election. He's got, according to Gallup, and I know polls are not necessarily the most accurate thing to go by here, but he has the highest negatives of any presidential candidate in the recorded history of that poll, period.
And see, this is what our country needs, but more so, this is what our country wants. And that's proof positive tonight with Iowa. This is what our country wants. Ted Cruz is what our country wants. Our elected officials need to understand that. They need to step aside, stand down. You have individuals like John McCain who want to still hold things up. You have Lindsey Graham to see. You have all of these individuals. Paul Benedict Arnold Ryan, Mitch McConnell, Turtle. They want to inhibit what we want. We want freedoms. We want liberties. We've had them. We have them now. We've had them in the past. We want to keep them. We do not want government intruding on them. And the only way to stop that is for people to ultimately dig down deep and realize exactly what you want. You know you want your freedoms and liberties, your unalienable rights, your Constitution to remain sacred and steadfast. That is what you want.
Mm-hmm. And we are on the path to getting it. We are on the path to getting it. But folks, it cannot stop here. It cannot stop here. We need you now more than ever to coalesce behind Ted Cruz. We need to have that kind of principled leadership to drive this country forward. And I'm going to applaud Mike Huckabee for dropping out. I say you need to endorse Ted Cruz right now.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to call on Fiorina, El Jefe, and
Rand Paul.
Sanatorium and Rand Paul. All of you drop out and concentrate behind Cruz. We need to stop the wolf in sheep's clothing. The wolf with the skunk fur pelt toupee. We need to go back to the principled conservative ideals that led us to the Reagan Revolution. Well, folks, we are back to the Second American Revolution. This is time for us to grab our country back, to take the mantles of power, and to liberate the ultimate wielders of sovereignty in this country, we the people.
Yes. And let's not stop at those candidates. Let's even look at those that entered the race a little bit later, like Jim Gilmore. You know, I like what the guy has to say. I think he would be a great VP candidate for Ted Cruz at this point.
I do too.
I would like to see other senators and even House of Representative members come out and endorse Ted Cruz. Individuals like Louis Gohmert, Jim Jordan.
Well, the Freedom Caucus has, which is absolutely a good thing. And let's send a great thanks out to them for doing a good job here. It's like all the great Twitter followers that Ted Cruz has. You guys are amazing. There is no other way to describe what you're doing. You are dedicated to your candidate, but above all, you are dedicated to your faith and to your country. There is nothing more American than that. I have to give a round of applause to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. You are a breath of fresh air in what can be a very hostile and divided political environment in this country.
And, you know, Randy and I both have we kicked around the idea of Twitter and we're like, nah, we're just not going to do it. And then we did it. And I'm glad that we did.
We should have done it sooner.
We should have done it sooner. And again, it's hindsight's 2020, but I'm glad we did, because now we have so many more individuals that are conversing with us, and it's a team effort. We the people are a team, period. We have to behave like a team. We have to converse with each other. We have to bounce ideas off of each other. We have to hold each other up and support each other. If we can't do that as Americans, as sovereign individuals, then individuals like Ted Cruz that are going to be our ultimate voice at the end of the day in the White House, in the Senate, wherever the case may be, will be all for naught. They might as well not even go there, because if we are not willing to rally with ourselves and support them, they will have zero support at all.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I can already sense what's going to happen. You remember Donald J. Trump, before all of this got started, he said that if he didn't win Iowa, then it wasn't worth it. I bet they're going to be moving the goalpost. In fact, I can already hear the squeaky voice of the trumpeter in the back of my mind saying, well, the people in Iowa are stupid. That's what Trump said when he was consistently inconsistent back in a long time ago. And, well, we'll take New Hampshire. Let's make a great effort in New Hampshire. I know that it's not necessary for us to completely win it, but let's make the effort. Let's show a groundswelling there. America, come together. This is our opportunity to shine. And this is our opportunity to show the rest of the world that we are going back to strict adherence to the fundamental principles contained within the four corners of our shared United States Constitution. You know, folks, that is our greatest inheritance. That is the greatest birthright of any people on the face of the planet, is our shared Constitution. Well, now is the time to shine through, to let that be known all throughout not only this country, but the world, that America will not tolerate those who would stand against our constitutional form of government, that would stand against the birthright of our people, that would stand against liberty. People like ISIS, no, we're coming out to get you. We're coming out to destroy you. America is as strong as she has ever been.
We are that way because we must be, because there is no other way for us to be. That is ingrained and sown in the seeds of our heritage and our culture. And when it comes time to reaping what we've sown, it's not going to be us on the end of the scythe. It's going to be you. You individuals, ISIS, any other terrorist organization, countries that hate us, everybody that wants to stand in the way of truth, liberty, freedom, and our Constitution, you will be the ones that are reaped and cast under the blades. Because that is what is going to happen. Now, to the folks of New Hampshire, you sovereign citizens of New Hampshire, your state motto is live free or die. What better time than now than to live up to your state motto, embrace it, and carry it forward? Live free or die. Because if you don't live free, if you choose not to live free, you are choosing to cast off what the Constitution is for you and for everybody else in this country. You're one of the cornerstones of the founding of this country.
Yeah, because your motto comes straight out of the immortal words of a great attorney, an attorney who inspired me, Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death. That is the gauntlet that must be thrown down to all of these wannabe dictators, potentates, tyrants, and oppressors. Because believe me, folks, the Fabian socialists are still frothing at the mouth. They are still at the gate, and we must muster together now, more so than ever, to ensure that our representative Republican form of government survives. That is why this is the most crucial election for the last several decades, because this is the closest we have come to teetering on the brink of ruination. This is as close as we have come to the utopian socialists, the Fabian socialists, pushing this country beyond the point of no return. Well, let's say that we have thrown down the gauntlet tonight. We are taking the first stance. We are drawing the proverbial line in the sand, and this is the choice for you. all Americans, all popular sovereigns, to make. Do you want to embrace the failed policies of the past 8 years that have brought us to the brink of ruination? Or do you want to wrap your arms around the Constitution again and to restore this country to the proper scope and application of government as contained within the clear and concise language within the four corners of our shared Constitution, or not? It's up to you, America. It is absolutely up to you. And let's hope that tonight is but the first step to show just exactly how this country is going to respond to the adversity that we have seen for these last 8 years.
And truth be told, there's only but one candidate that exemplifies your state motto, New Hampshire, live free or die. That is Ted Cruz. Now, I'm not the type of individual to tell people who to vote for, but I'm the type of individual who will show people why they should vote a certain way. Ultimately, it's up to you. Cast your vote how you must, whatever is within your realm of scope of reality and your principles. But think about this. The only candidate that is in the race on either side is Ted Cruz. Why? Because he is the only candidate that has stood in the halls of justice at the Supreme Court and other courts, in the halls of the Senate, and stood up for your constitutional rights, defended your rights, defending your ability to live free.
Yep. In fact, one of the first cases that I ever studied in law school was Van Orden v. Perry. Because one of the first things that I ever had to do in an oral argument, and I was the top in my class for oral debates, because I was a debate champion, much like Ted Cruz, before I even set foot into law school, was Van Orden v. Perry. We were arguing to keep a quote on the wall of a courthouse, and it was Ted Cruz that argued that case from out of my home state, that there was this atheistic group that was wanting to remove the 10 Commandments that had been at the Capitol for a long, long time, because they said that it was an impermissible entanglement of government and religion, or of state and religion. And what Ted Cruz argued is that when it has this long established history that is deeply rooted in the traditions of our legal system and is a code of law, that is permissible, that it does not violate the First Amendment's prohibition against the establishment of a religion. Furthermore, it goes in line with the Free Exercise Clause, which is the second part of the First Amendment and the freedom of religion, and that is the free exercise of religion. That means you are free to exercise it however you want. And you see, that's the part that people don't remember, but it was the part that Ted Cruz championed in Van Orden v. Perry. And let's keep that in mind as we go into these next slew of primary voting. Because when you stop and think about it, these are the only things that count. The votes are the only thing that counts. Don't let the pandering, dribbling idiots who are members of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media convince you how to vote. Like Jeremy said before, and as I have said in previous episodes of The Wright Flyer, and as we will say again now, we deign not to tell you how to vote. We would never deign to place ourselves in such a position. We just are providing you with the litmus test that you need to apply to any candidate before you pull the lever. And that is the United States Constitution. Again, folks, this is why it is so important for us all to have a fluent and working knowledge and understanding of our shared Constitution, and thereby our fundamental and unalienable rights. Because in so doing, we are empowered to see who would be best suited, best qualified to wield the reins of political power in this country. We are at that point now, folks. It is time for us to make that decision and to regain our country. Let's take back America.
And see, again, don't take what we say as set in stone. Research what we say, verify it, trust but verify. You still have individuals like Ann Coulter, whatever she may be, making
Irrelevant.
Consistently irrelevant,
Yes.
making that's just kind of one of the tangible follicles, of consistently inconsistent. She's still out there flapping her glory hole on Cruz being an ineligible citizen, making snide comments like her Twitter feed just says here, Trump is the leading GOP vote getter tonight among natural-born American candidates. Guess what, Ann Coulter? You need to just shut up.
Well, and go back to law school. You need some remedial reading because the statute is clear. In fact, Jeremy, I think you've got the statute.
Yes, I do. Remedial reading 101. Title 8 U.S. Code, Section 1401. Pay close attention to subsections E and D, Ms. Coulter, if you would. Or, if you prefer, maybe you can borrow one of your ex-boyfriend's
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher, one of his books, Communist Manifesto for Dummies. I mean, if you must read something, but I would implore you to go back and read. Stop making stupid comments. Again, you're part of the problem of trying to create this wall that Donald Trump wants to build. Folks, he wants to build a wall. It's not to protect our country. It's not to keep illegal aliens out. It's to keep people fat, happy, and stupid so he can run roughshod over them. That
bread
wall,
and circuses.
That wall has nothing to do with securing our borders of our country. It's securing his regime and his tyrannical eminent domain gallivant. That is what he wants to do. That wall he's putting up is between the truth and just the facts and his whimsical comb over that he's just using to flop in the wind and sprinkle dandruff fairy dust all over everybody. Don't buy into it.
It's not going to make you fly like Peter Pan's magic dust. But folks, there's something about Donald Trump that is truly nefarious. You look at the egomaniacal way that he looks down upon his people, and the way that he has said that if ever I see that the crowd is getting bored, all I have to do is shout, build a wall, and then they come alive. And it goes back to a statement that he made, and I believe it was Newsweek magazine or Time magazine back in 1999. It's one of those dying publications where he said that if he ever ran for president, that he would most likely do it with the Republican Party because the Republicans are the dumbest people on the face of the planet, and that he could lie to them and that they would just believe it, and that he was sure that his numbers would be great. Well, folks,
or he could shoot somebody in the face.
Yeah, or
lose voters.
Yeah, that came later, shooting somebody in the face in the middle of Fifth Avenue. But what it goes to show is that, like Adolf Hitler, he has a manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Art of the Deal. That's his version of Mein Kampf.
Trump.
Yeah, Mein Trumpy. But the Trumpy Longstockings is not someone that we can trust with the reins of political power in this country. And I'm not saying that to be nasty. I'm saying that just based off of observing his conduct, his character, his beliefs, and his consistent inconsistency. Folks, a true leader does not approach something as important as the elections for the president of the United States without core values. They have to know who they are when they go in there. And I just do not see that as being the case with Donaldus Caesar Trumpus. I just don't. Because what he is doing is basically just sticking his finger in the air to see which way the winds are blowing to custom tailor the things that he's trying to say to a particular audience. Folks, that is chicanery. That is a charlatan doing his best to be a snake oil salesman. That is the last thing that this country needs. We need a principled leader. And so far, the most principled leader that I see in this entire wide array of prospective candidates is none other than Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz. That is who we need to get behind, folks. Let's take our country back.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I know I constantly harp on this, and, just like drawing the line in the sand and taking our country back, making our country smart again, there's another impetus that goes along with that. And it's one of our heaviest artillery pieces, if you will. And it's the declaration of war that we've declared on political correctness. See, political correctness is still rearing its ugly head. It's popping in and out of shadows, closet doors, medicine cabinets, whatever the case is, hair gel buckets, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I think they may even be used as an aerosol spray, but
probably.
But the point is, political correctness still needs to be dealt with. And it is wrapping itself up in all of these things, like Ann Coulter saying, "Oh, the largest GOP vote getter of the natural-born citizens." You know what? Stop it. Just shut up with that crap.
Well, Ann Coulter's history is already proven to be devious on all of this. She came out in favor of Mittens Romnikins last time. Gee, how well did that work out, Annie?
Yeah.
Annie, did that work out well? Did he win?
No,
what? He even came out after everything, after the fact, and said that he didn't even want it. Well, if you didn't want it, why did you run so hard? Why did you work so hard to destroy anyone else that was up on that stage in 2012? It's people like you that gave us Obama's second term. I'm sorry, I'm not going to cut corners on this. I'm not going to pull back in light of political correctness for that. What you did was give us Obama's second term. Shame on you, Ann Coulter. Shame on you.
Well, let's look at our partner in crime, Mr. Bucket himself, Karl Rove. Him and his little whiteboard, and this, what he looks like? Humpty Dumpty, who had a love child with Alfie. Remember Alfie? It's people like that are mimicking all the same tired rhetoric. Why? Because they think the people want to hear it. Well, guess what? Little orphan Annie and Mr. Bucket, it's not going to happen anymore. Tonight, what happened in Iowa proves that it's not going to happen anymore. And you know what? If the citizens of the New Hampshire, again, vote as you may, but I have a gut feeling that they're going to wake up, and when they wake up, they're going to be hungry, they're going to be agitated, they're going to be angry, and they're going to say, "Shut up. We're not going to do that anymore. We want to live free or die." And you are impinging upon that. You are standing in our way of doing that. You just need to go away.
This is the time for liberty to shine in this country. And, Steve Hayes said this on Fox News. He said that this proves decisively in Iowa tonight that the pathway to the so-called establishment wing of the party is gone. It's gone. It didn't exist in this election cycle. And the reason that it didn't exist in this election cycle is that we, the people, the ultimate wielders of sovereignty in this great representative republic, are sick and tired of politics as usual. And we are happy to see that someone who is a principled constitutional conservative like Ted Cruz has risen to the top. It is time to see this country go back to what it was in the past that made it great. Everywhere we turn, we see that our country is in moral decay. And why is that? The reason it's in moral decay is because we have divorced ourselves from strict adherence to the United States Constitution. That is the supreme law of the land. That is what allowed us to become such a powerful, hegemonic country in such a short yet illustrious period of time. But as we have gone decade after decade, pushing ourselves further and further away from the fundamental tenets of that sacred document, that is what has led us astray. That is what put us in a weakened position. Well, we are taking the steps, the prerequisite steps to rectify that problem. And believe me, folks, it will be rectified. And when the reckoning comes in the United States, heaven help those who are the Fabian socialists that got us into this mess in the first place.
I got a feeling heaven will just step aside and let be what may be, because it would just be just cause. Now, I have a question for our listeners, those that are following us now on Twitter, who may be diehard Trump supporters, Rube -E-O.
E-I-E-I-E-I-E-I-O.
Here's a question for you individuals, and it centers around Donald Trump. Donald Trump says he hates losers. He doesn't like to lose. Losers are bad. Losers will never win. He wants to win, 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 win.
Well, he lost tonight.
You lost tonight. That makes you a loser, Donald Trump. Now, my question is, if you hate losers so much, are you going to divulge to the American people and your supporters how much you hate yourself? Because if you don't,
then you're a hypocrite.
You're a hypocrite. My guess is that our invitation that we sent you, Mr. Trump, to come on onto our show and have a discussion with us, that's probably not going to happen either. If it does, great. We welcome the conversation with you. If not, it doesn't matter, because what's going to happen is you're still going to be a hypocrite. You're still going to be a liar. You're still going to be a fraud. And you know what? You give comb-overs a bad name. Homer Simpson himself must be infuriated with you. You need to stop. If you claim yourself to be a winner, why don't you show yourself to be a true winner, show some sportsmanship, and step down?
Well, he's not going to do that.
Of course
because
not.
back in 2013, Trump University, he has swindled tons of people out of thousands upon thousands of dollars by making false claims that he was behind the writing of the curriculum of that school. And it turns out that it was just a Ponzi scheme where they were offering classes first at $1,500 and then, it was outdated information. But if you wanted more, if you wanted to get more and to learn Trump's secrets, because he said he had hired the best teachers, he had selected them for this, then you pay extra. And then they would ask about your credit card limits to see how much you could pay. And then they would set the money for that amount. It turns out, by his own admission, that no, he didn't have anything to do with the curriculum. No, he didn't have anything to do with the hiring of the professors. But he said it in the videos. He said it in the promotional literature for Trump University, which bore his name. Shame on you, Mr. Trump. Shame on you for swindling people. I have a feeling that's what you're doing with this campaign of yours. It is time for you to step aside for a real constitutionalist. And as for you, Ann Coulter, step aside. America is coming through, and we are not going to bow down to your little antics anymore. We're not going to take your advice as if it's the gospel truth, because you have been shown to be wrong just a little too often.
Yeah, well, guess what, Ann Coulter? You know that old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? In your case, sticks and stones will break your bones, but only if you throw yourself against a brick wall. And right now, I wouldn't have any objections to that whatsoever. Do it at breakneck speed if possible, please. You are stagnating liberty and freedom from rekindling itself amongst the American people, the American sovereignty.
Stop impeding the American dream, Ms. Coulter. You're smarter than this.
Well, presumably, but, actions speak louder than words. Now, I have a question regarding Trump University. Is Alex Jones the dean?
No. But he's
right up his
probably
alley.
The public relations
It's
department.
right up his alley.
But, folks, the reason that I bring that up is if Trump can't tell the truth about that, then how on earth can Trump tell the truth about all of this other stuff, about flip-flopping on all of these positions that he has? Because what it shows me is that he is a continuous liar, a pathological liar. I don't even think he knows what the truth is anymore. Because when he came out and he said that, well, you know, I never said that I was for universal health care. The videotape doesn't lie, Donnie. It just doesn't. And we have you on tape saying time and time again that, yes, you're very liberal on healthcare, that we need to take care of everybody, and that the only way to do that is through a single-party payer system. Folks, that is socialized medicine. That is socialism. That is the last thing that we need in this country. It would destroy our healthcare system, even worse than what Obamacare has been.
It cannot legally exist in this country because it is diametrically opposed to the Constitution, which is our supreme law of the land, period. So anything pertaining to single-payer health system, national health care, so on and so is void. Absolutely
void ab initio.
Void. That's it. That's all there needs to be said about it. And for people that want to perpetuate that, well, you can look at certain laws, and I don't have it in front of me, but there is a law that says if you advocate for such things that are in contrary to the Constitution as a way to undermine it, it is a felony. So if you want to push for this stuff, you're advocating for it. You're advocating for a political system to take root, even if it is just a small little dead end that gets cut and then revitalized with VO5 hot oil. Whatever the case is, you're still advocating for it. That makes you illegitimate. It makes you a fraud. It makes you an enemy of the United States for what it truly stands for, an enemy of the Constitution. Bernie Sanders, you're an enemy of the Constitution. Bernie Sanders, pickled liver, shut up. Go drink another one.
Sauce. I want sauce. I like Thunderbird liquor, Mad Dog 2020, as long as you're paying for it. Yeah. And here it goes. It's got to be said that 28% went for Cruz, 24% to Trump, and 23% for Rubio. That is saying something. It's saying that Rubio was tearing into Trump. You see, folks, Trump is just not as big as he thought he was. Remember when he came out throwing the tantrum about not showing up to the debate? Oh, well, this thing I'm going to throw for the wounded vets, where you donate money to my own charity, and I don't tell you much about it. It's going to just crush the ratings. Nope, Fox had higher ratings than they ever did. Now, I'm not going to let Fox News off the hook here. They pulled a nasty stunt in that last debate. Mm-hmm. They should be ashamed of themselves. And absolutely, Ann Coulter, I'll give you some credo here. It is wrong that they are pushing for an open border agenda. But for you to back Donaldus Caesar Trumpus for saying that Cruz was an anchor baby, that's a bunch of malarkey. Cruz's mother was an American citizen. How dare you insult an American citizen like that? How dare you? It is uncalled for. It is very nasty. It is completely out of character for what a person of character would do. But you have shown you don't have character. So fly off to New Hampshire. But to the voters of New Hampshire, I'm turning to you now as a fellow American citizen. I'm saying, watch out for these charlatans. Watch out for these wolves in sheep's clothing, because they will surely strip you of your liberty, your fundamental and unalienable rights, if we do not stand together. We already see that Barack Hussein Obama is once again frothing at the mouth at an attempt to grab our guns. He wants to deprive us of our fundamental and unalienable right to keep and bear firearms. And Donald J. Trump's track record on that is far too checkered to even go near it. And the reason I say that is our most important fundamental and unalienable right, because it's by which we defend all of our other fundamental and unalienable rights. Folks, when our rights are on the line, we need to go by somebody who's consistent, not somebody who's out to make a deal.
And here's the other thing. Again, I'm going to harp on this. The Fifth Amendment is written the way that it is for a specific intended purpose. When you have where it says, shall not be deprived the right of life, liberty, or property without due process. You cannot have property without the means of having liberty, and liberty cannot be achieved or obtained or given without life. Life is the most sacred of our unalienable rights, and the only way to protect that is with the Second Amendment. So you have the right to life, and then you have the Second Amendment, because the Second Amendment is the body armor. It is the standing guard that protects all other rights. It's a full circle. It's called, you can even call it the circle of life, essentially, because
it is the lifeblood of every American citizen. Because when we don't have it, we are surrendering our freedom and our identity. We cannot surrender ourselves, folks. We have been entrusted by our founding fathers to hand this great inheritance, this great birthright, our shared Constitution, down to posterity. We must be those who are the watchmen. And believe me, history will judge us on how we perform right here and right now. If we fail to live up to our duties and obligations which have attached to the fundamental and unalienable rights which have been endowed to us by our Creator, then we will be judged most harshly by history. But I think that we are at the pinnacle of bringing this country back from the brink of ruination, that we are about to take the steps that are necessary to put us back in line with the intentions that our founding fathers had for us since the inception of this great country over 200 plus years ago.
And this is why I bring it right back to the state motto of New Hampshire: live free or die. And people would look at that and say, well, live free or die. You know, I'm not giving my life up for anybody. You shouldn't. Period. You don't give your life up for anybody unless you do it in order to protect somebody else's rights. That's a noble cause. That is a noble cause. Our men and women in uniform do it every single day. They put their lives on the line for what?
God
to protect
bless them.
us.
God bless them.
And
you know what?
New Hampshire, folks, by not living up to your state motto, not only are you besmirching yourselves, but you are besmirching your sons and daughters, your husbands and wives, fathers, mothers who wear that uniform for you to be able to live free or die.
We have to take a stand now for this country. That's what it comes down to.
It comes full circle back to this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, going back to Donald Trump, you know, was he lying then or is he lying now? Remember,
or is he always lying?
Remember when he said, ultimately, I don't think anybody should have guns. We don't need guns. But if people have them, then other people should have them because bad people have them. But ultimately, nobody should have them. So, in other words,
form a coherent sentence.
No, well, I'm sure, you know, if he had some kind of miraculous, you know, come to Jesus moment, and maybe, I don't know, Moses came down from heaven and parted his hair like the Red Sea, possibly. Well, I'm not going to.
He did try to put money on the communion plate. That's kind of cool.
You know, and again, it's the subterfuge that is happening because of political correctness. Folks, political correctness is nothing more than a set of blinders that have been stapled across your eyes.
Yep.
And it has to be removed. This is why we've declared war on political correctness. We're not going to stand by and allow people like Ann Coulter to continue to salivate on their, you know, oral bib.
Yeah, she needs to take the pacifier and go home. We leave the country and the running of the country to the adults because we are tired of the charlatans, the snake oil salesmen, the used car salesmen that have been trying to run ramshod over this country, because what they have done is they have pushed us further and further to the left. The detente wing of the gutless opposition party has collaborated with the Fabian socialists within the DNC. Well, the people are tired of that. And as the ultimate wielders of sovereignty in this country, the popular sovereigns, we the people understand what it takes to get this country back to where it needs to be. Now, again, I still take issue with Donald Trump's little slogan there, to make America great again. Hey, Donald, here is your new catchphrase. Here is your new, campaign slogan. Consistently inconsistent, because that's what you are.
Mm-hmm. And pretty soon you might adopt Little Orphan Annie's consistently irrelevant, because Donald, the
sooner the better.
The sooner the better. The longer you stay in, and the longer you continue this charlatan charade of selling your hot oil hair treatments to people, the worse off this country is going to be. The longer it's going to take for us to turn this country around and make America smart again. Again, we are great. We have always been great. We will always be great, because until the United States Constitution exists no more, there's no possible way that the United States cannot be great.
Now, to those Rubio supporters who were sitting there calling Cruz the 2016 version of Mitt Romney, only worse, just stop. Just stop now. Don't lose any more credibility than you already have. Marxist Rube, E-I-E-I-O, has not done anything that is worth mentioning for this country. The Gang of Eight bill was a huge betrayal. He is not an up-and-coming star of the Republican Party. He is a betrayer of conservative values. If you remember, he was part of that Tea Party vanguard that came in the midterm elections of 2010 as a powerful rebuke to the Obama regime. And then it pittered out. But let's state right here and right now, there is no comparison between Mitten's Romnikins and a principled constitutional scholar and defender like Ted Cruz. To even make that comparison is completely intellectually disingenuous, and the American people will see right through it. We're sorry that Marxist Rubio, E-I-E-I-O, can't take a firm position without flip-flopping. We're sorry that he decided that an open borders policy is what this nation needs. You know, his day has come, it has passed. He needs to go with his mentor and skip down the yellow brick road to irrelevance, because that's exactly what he is right here and right now. He is irrelevant.
Yes, absolutely irrelevant. And again, I have to give kudos to Mike Huckabee. He bowed out of the race. He needs, again, like you mentioned, Randy, he needs to put his support behind Ted Cruz. And I think he's going to do that. I really think he's going to do that. Huckabee is the type of individual that, you know, he'll put his support behind the person he knows is going to win if he can't step out of the way. And this brings me back to Trump, too. Remember, not so long ago, that Trump said, if the deal's going to go bad and it looks like I'm not going to get a fair shake, I walk away from the deal, no questions asked. Walk away, Donald. Walk away. Because it's not going to go good for you. The people are waking up. They're realizing that you are nothing but a bleached skunk pelt peddling hot oil treatments to them. You need to stop. If you want to be a winner, Donald, and not be a loser, because you hate losers, and I'm not really an advocate of people, you know, hating themselves, because it just diminishes the whole morale of the country. But since you'll never admit that you hate yourself because you're a loser after tonight, why don't you be a winner, Donald? Why don't you drop out of the race? And why don't you support Ted Cruz? Why don't you endorse him? Or will your followers not allow you to do that?
That's a good question.
Are you scared of your followers? I mean, they're not all Megyn Kelly, right? I mean, I don't even think she supports you. Now, if you're afraid of her,
not after not after the temper tantrums he's thrown.
No. So if you're afraid of Megyn Kelly, Donald, how is it that, according to Sarah Palin, we're going to go and kick ISIS ass, you betcha.
Oh, did you see how she had a gaffe in Iowa, sitting there attacking?
I heard you can hear a dead end
pin drop. Yeah,
air drop and hit the floor.
Yeah. Hey, Sarah, wow. I know you've been out of it for a while and that you've probably had some aquaflinta along the way, but let me just remind you that it's a very bad idea to attack a son of a great state like Iowa, somebody who was elected by the people of Iowa. That didn't win you any favors. It didn't curry any favors for Donaldus Caesar Trumpus either. It is time that we get honest. It is time that we get back to civil discourse, because that is the one thing Donald Trump has really thrown out from this entire election cycle thus far. He has pushed it into the gutter, and we're sick and tired of it. We're tired of the finger pointing. We're tired of the flip-flopping. We're tired of the fake conservatives. It is time to embrace a constitutional conservative, as the state of Iowa did. And once again, to the great people of that great state, to the Hawkeye State, I salute you for making the right decision tonight. I honestly do. You cannot do better than what Iowa did. New Hampshire, we're waiting on you. We're counting on you.
And South Carolina, you're next after that.
And then all of these major states on Super Tuesday, it's coming. It's coming.
Super Cruz Day.
Super Cruz Day.
That's what we're going to call it from here on, Super Cruz Day, because that's what's going to happen. There's, and again, people want to say, well, you guys are hypocrites.
No, we're not.
Randy and Jeremy are hypocrites. You're attacking, you're pointing fingers, and you're labeling people. Again,
after they labeled us first.
In case
it's self-defense.
In case you Neanderthalic troglodytes missed the part of the episode, this episode or any other episode where we've declared war on political correctness, we don't care what you think, because you, like Ann Coulter, are being consistently irrelevant. You don't like us attacking your poster children? Too bad. They put themselves out there. It comes with the territory. They know this. And you know what? We're calling them on what they are. Period. That's what it is. Oh, the hair remarks and this and that, making fun of them. So what?
Hey, look, Donald Trump made fun of a disabled reporter. Come on. You're going to call us out for being honest? You're going to call us out for pointing out his discrepancies? Give me an ever-loving break.
Sure. And if you want to call yourselves, well, we're conservatives because we support Trump, and but you're labeling people. You know where labeling came from? You know where it came from? Karl Marx started it with the Communist Manifesto, and then it was perpetuated with the Fabian Society and the Fabian Socialists, all the way up through Adolf Hitler and the Principles of Propaganda of Joseph Goebbels, and then Cloward and Piven, Trotsky. Yep. All of those individuals, you know what? You're utilizing their exact same verbiage. You have latched on, and you have allowed them to impregnate you with idiocy, and then you want to turn it around because you don't like the truth? Well, guess what? The truth has no agenda. And all we talk about on here is just the facts. If you can't handle it, sit down, shut up, you're irrelevant. We don't want to hear from you anymore. Because all you're doing, again, is impeding the pathway of true freedom and liberty. And if you want to stand in front of it and you want to use your constitutional rights of freedom of speech to impinge upon the others retained by the people, you are committing a felony. You are in violation of federal law.
We've won this one tonight. It's time to win the next. And we must keep a positive light on the future of this country. This is the positive message for the United States. We have the Constitution. The Constitution is the greatest birthright of any people on the face of the earth. We will defend that birthright with every fiber of our being. And we have a leader that is willing to carry the flag of liberty and to march for freedom from this day till kingdom comes. And it is so refreshing to finally have a leader that does that, to finally have a leader that stands up for the American Constitution, as our founding fathers did. The brilliance of Ted Cruz knows no bounds, and he has done so much at such a young age that it's just incredible. To argue in front of the Supreme Court as many times as he did before attaining the age of 28 is mind-boggling. I'm at age 30 now. I'm a licensed attorney. I have argued cases, but never to the extent that he has. But I can see what he is doing, and I can see the vision that he has for this country. And folks, attorneys everywhere should aspire to be like Ted Cruz, because he stands up for his clients. He has won major cases for our constitutional liberties and rights, and that is something to be proud of. That is an incredible record.
And it is your first and foremost sworn obligation and duty
it absolutely
to do that. Your first and foremost sworn obligation and duty, not to line your pockets with money, not to bilk your clients into hundreds of dollars an hour so you can try and get them off and not allow them to be held accountable by true justice. Therefore, because what you're doing is you are depriving justice not only for the victims, but you're depriving justice from your clients. Because without that, without having to have consequences and accountability for their actions, their constitutional rights mean jack squat. And you are a creator and a perpetrator of that atrocity. And any attorney out there, I'm not an attorney yet, I will be. And any attorney out there that behaves in that fashion, immediately all of you should surrender your license and stop practicing law, period.
I take my oath of office very seriously. I absolutely take my oath of office seriously.
I haven't even taken the oath of office, and I take it seriously.
Yes.
As should everybody, because it is based on our shared constitution.
It meant so much when I rose my hand and took that oath of office, because I felt proud to be a part of the system that is supposed to defend the Constitution. I was raised in the mindset of my maternal grandfather, Grant A. Brown, who was a constitutional scholar and a great attorney. He was a JAG that helped write the armistice with Japan. He was a Harvard Law graduate from 1932, so he graduated from the same school as Ted Cruz. He stood up for the constitutional principles of this country, and that is what inspired me and drove me into the path of law. I am proud to say that I am a part of bringing this country back to the Constitution. And that is what I invite all Americans to do. It is our Constitution. It does not belong to the government. It does not belong to governmental officers or agents. It doesn't belong to the officers of the court. It belongs to we, the people, the popular sovereigns. And as long as we remember those natural law tenets that underpin our Constitution and our representative Republican form of government, then we are taking the steps that are necessary to bring this country back from the brink of ruination and to secure the future of this country. That is what we must be dedicated to. That is what we saw the first step with respect to the votes at the caucus in Iowa tonight. Let's go on to New Hampshire. Let's go on beyond that, and let's win this for America. Let's see a bright day in America again, a more free and prosperous America built on the foundations that made us great to begin with. You notice, folks, I'm not saying make America great again, because America never stopped or ceased being great. America is great, and it can be greater still.
And Randy, I after tonight and over the past couple of days, with being a new tweeter on Twitter, I found a new a revival of inspiration for me. Again,
Yeah.
all the folks that we have connected with on Twitter, you know, they're inspiring. They're very inspirational to me. They have shown me that their faith, their convictions, their principles, they are not willing to back down on them. They will stand fast on those convictions, faith, and principles. And they are doing it not for themselves, but
They're doing it for the country.
They're doing it for the country. And you know, I've always revered myself as being a patriotic American. Always. Always have. I've always thought of myself as being an individual that will do anything for my country. I would put my life on the line for my country and for my fellow citizens. These individuals, they go above and beyond that. They've shown me that I'm not doing enough. I need to be doing more.
Of our rights. They are the vanguard of the fundamental and unalienable rights. And that is so inspirational to see. It is such an uplifting thing to see that self-accountability, self-responsibility, self-determination, but above all, self-pride is not dead in this country.
You know what it reminds me of?
Kudos to Glenn Beck for going out and fighting hard for Ted Cruz, irrespective of what any of those charlatans who are trying to tear him down right now might think. He has been a great supporter of Ted Cruz. This couldn't have turned out better. His dedication is second to none so far. To David Limbaugh, let me tip my hat to you, sir, for doing God's work here, helping Cruz take Iowa. And I know that as a fellow attorney, you are just as committed to our constitutional liberties and rights. That is something that is so inspirational. To Don Costella of Chicago, Illinois, thank you, sir. You have always been a great patriot. Going back to when we did shows back in 2007 for the Extreme Court. That was a fantastic time. You gave me a lot of hope and inspiration there, and I am so glad to see that you are as dedicated to Ted Cruz as you are. He couldn't have done what he did tonight without the help and support of great Americans like these.
Michelle Malkin, Anne-Marie Morell of Politic Chicks, various other individuals. Again, I am inspired to strive to do more. And if people say, "Well, I've done enough. I've given to campaigns," I've come to the reality, the vast reality. You can never stop. You can never do enough to maintain the sanctity of our shared Constitution.
You have to live up to your own skills.
You have to live
and enact upon them and live it. We here at the Wright Flyer have a great skill of finding news rapidly and cutting through a lot of the morass and moreau that has been put out by the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media. We are firm believers in the Constitution, and we know that we can deliver this message in a clear and concise format. Folks, we couldn't do this without you. You are what make this possible. You inspire us. You gave us and continue to give us the courage that is necessary, the energy to keep pushing through, because despite everything that the salivating mainstream media has been saying, despite everything that the trumpeteers have been trumpeting out as false realities, you have remained steadfast and true. And we really enjoy the support that you are giving to us. And we do this for you because we love and care about this country. This really is the greatest country on earth. And you are the reason why. The American people are the reason why this country thrives.
And, this kind of inspiration and this kind of testimony reminds me of when you see videos on Facebook about individuals, helping other individuals. You'll see like a whole collage of, young boys, helping elderly women cross the street, or somebody, standing up for an individual who's homeless, helping them out. And then you see these hashtags. faith in humanity restored. Guess what? My faith in humanity was restored tonight and over the past few days with all the folks that I've encountered and come to be
Admire
a part
and
of,
respect.
admire and respect and interact with on Twitter and Facebook and various other social media sites. My faith in humanity is restored because I am seeing individuals taking the step to understand and taking the steps to maintain what true freedom and liberty is all about. Maintaining and standing up for our constitutional rights, our shared unalienable rights that cannot be deprived of us by governments, cannot be deprived from us by state and local municipalities. They can only be taken away by God.
Yeah. And we have to remain steadfast to our fundamental and unalienable rights. You know, that's what distinguishes us from any other nation on the face of the planet. That is the great promise that our founding fathers made to us.
The greatness.
Yeah, this is what they expect us to hand down to posterity. And folks, that means that we have to be proactive in maintaining and safeguarding our fundamental and unalienable rights. There's no way around that. That duty falls squarely on our shoulders. And the Cruz crew that we have seen throughout the Twitter sphere, you have made that possible. You have gone above and beyond the call of duty, and we applaud you for it.
Oh, we're forever in your debt and graces for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we know that that is but the first step and that we still have a lot of steps left to go. But we can breathe a sigh of relief because at least the first hurdle is over. Take a moment to congratulate yourselves, folks, and then get prepared to keep the fight going because this ain't over yet.
And again, you know, I know I'm kind of stuck on this whole, you know, being grateful about all these other individuals, and I can't say it enough. And folks, I'm going to tell you in future episodes, you're going to get recognition again and again and again. The more of these individuals that come out of the work, you're going to get recognition. We are doing this for our country. We are doing this for us as a whole, we the people. This is not something for me and Randy and various other individuals that work with us to gain notoriety of. This is not something we're looking to, you know, to utilize as a jumping point to become famous. If it happens, fine.
So
that's all well and good. So be it. Bonus. But that's not what our intention is. Our intention is, again, to make America smart again. And that's not to say, you know, people, oh, well, you're calling us stupid. No, we're not. We're trying to reinvigorate, rekindle that spark and that flare that our country was founded on, that presence. That is what is the nucleus of this greatness that is our country, is our shared constitution.
Yeah, folks,
many of us have lost sight of that.
Yeah, we are what makes this country great. I cannot tell you time and again that the lifeblood of the United States of America is her people. That's the way it's been going back to the inception of this country. It was not a mistake that the first words within the preamble to the Constitution is "we the people." That is exactly what our founding fathers meant. And what we saw tonight was a complete example, a complete shining reflection and adherence to those great foundational principles that our founding fathers put into motion over 200 years ago. And isn't it amazing to see that our Constitution is the longest running constitutional document in all of world history? Think about that for a moment, folks. We have seen a lot of great powers fall and rise in the course of human events, but never before have we seen anything quite like the United States that's based on the idea that sovereignty rests squarely on the shoulders of the American people. Never before have we seen something that was so devoted to liberty and to self-accountability and self-responsibility. That is what was so revolutionary about what our founding fathers achieved over 200 years ago. They put into motion this great nation of ours. They put into motion this great ideology that has led to the greatness of this country, and we are embracing it again. That is what tonight proves. It proves that the foundational vision that our founding fathers conceived over 2 centuries ago is not dead and gone from this earth.
And it will still remain to be breathing and alive as far as the principles, the foundational moral adherence. So long as I'm drawing a breath, so long as Randy is drawing a breath, so long as each and every one of you are drawing a breath, this country will remain great. That is the core essence. Again, we the people. What that showed when the founding fathers put that on paper, it showed right there their intentions were not to be governmental authoritarians over us. When they put that in there, with we the people, it showed possession. It showed ownership. The onus was put on us. It is ours. It belongs to us. They were simply there to guide us, to make sure that we didn't, kill ourselves off. They were kind of the checkpoint, or the checks and balances of.
They were the mentors of liberty.
Yes, absolutely. Much like many of our listeners, and much like the people voting in the Iowa caucuses tonight, they are the mentors of liberty, because, again, they have reinvigorated an awe-inspiring moment in me. Yeah. They have taught me that there is more that I could do. There's never enough time to stop. You can't stop. This is the true essence, and I'm going to get a little scientific here. Perpetual motion. Mm-hmm. Perpetual motion. If there is ever an example of perpetual motion, it is our shared constitution working in concert of people maintaining our rights. It is full circle, always revolving, an unbroken wheel, continuously moving.
Absolutely.
That is true perpetual motion, folks. People say it doesn't exist. It exists, and it has existed for over 230 years. And it belongs.
Isn't that just awe-inspiring? Isn't it just awe-inspiring?
It belongs to us. Nobody else. Us.
Mm-hmm. That is why the decision that was handed down tonight is so important. It shows that this country still has a bright future ahead of her. It shows that the American people are still conscious as to what is happening in their country, and that they know what the proper prerequisite steps are to get this country back into the right direction. We have been misguided for 8 years by a charlatan who is doing anything to become an imperial leader. He's diametrically opposed to everything that our founding fathers stood for and represent. We are on to the path of taking this country back, to setting it back on course. Remember, what Jeremy and I have said time and time again on previous episodes of the Wright Flyer is that it falls onto us, we the people, to save this country. No one else can save us. That is our duty and our responsibility. And whenever you want to exercise your fundamental and unalienable right, like the fundamental and unalienable right to vote, you need to accept the duty and responsibility to proactively maintain and safeguard those rights. And that is what you are doing by educating yourself on what's going on, by researching the candidates, by making the decision that you feel is heartfelt and right. You are being a true American. Never let anyone disparage you for voting. Never, never. Because that is a quintessential part of being an American. You are proactively contributing to what makes this country great. And that is something that you should never be faulted for. You should only be praised for taking the initiative to be proactive and a part of your government. No one should tell you how to enact your rights. Nobody should tell anyone how to exercise their fundamental and unalienable rights. That would be the epitome of hypocrisy. We in this country are great because we are individual sovereigns. And you know, folks, that's why it is such a misnomer to call the United States of America a democracy. In a democracy, the only sovereignty that is recognized is the sovereignty of the majority. In a representative republic, sovereignty is in each of the individual popular sovereigns. That is why our founding fathers, and indeed our shared constitution, state that we are unequivocally a representative republican form of government.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I don't think I could have said it any better than that. And you know, again, it comes down to what our founding fathers had envisioned for this country. They had the wherewithal to understand, and you have to remember where they came from. They lived under tyrannical rule, monarchical tyrannical rule.
And they faced down the most powerful, well-organized, well-equipped military force known to all of man.
Twice. If we, the people, can achieve those feats, there's nothing to say that we, the people, cannot restore and reinvigorate the founding principles and light that fire of justice, truth, and liberty for this country again.
Absolutely.
It may not be a bright burning flame. It may be nothing more than a little bit of smoldering ash. But even with the smallest spark, the smallest smoldering ember, it could be blown back into a flame of greatness. The greatness is not gone. It can only get greater than what it is now.
Right. The duty and responsibility of we the people to live up to the constitutional obligations that have been handed down to us by our forefathers, who gave blood, sweat, tears, and toil to ensure that this nation would not disappear from the face of earth, that our representative republican form of government would not have occurred for naught, have a reason to smile down on us, and posterity has a reason to judge us in a favorable light. We have taken our responsibility seriously. Iowa proves it. But this is just the first step, folks. Do not rest on your laurels. Get ready for a long and drawn-out fight, because these nefarious forces that stand against us, these enemies of liberty, these proponents of tyranny and despotism, they will not give up. Remember that a wounded animal is a most dangerous thing to encounter.
And these nefarious forces are wanting. They would be more than willing to have just one person fighting for everybody else, because it's much easier for them to destroy and overwhelm and overtake one individual. And with me saying this, I'm referring to the instance of people wanting to elect someone to save them. How are these nefarious forces going to be able to overwhelm and overtake and overrule individuals who are willing to stand up and save themselves? We outnumber them. There are more of us than there are of them. Putting all of our hopes and wishes and dreams on the shoulders of one individual, first of all, no matter who that individual may be, it is not right for them to bear the burden of maintaining our constitutional rights, even if it is Trumpunzel. It is not fair to him. It is not his obligation and duty to do for you. It is your obligation and duty to do for yourselves, to maintain and to stand up and resist any tyrannical form, any nefarious forces, any evil that wants to stand in the way of you exercising your freedom. Anybody that wants to kill your freedom, either you live free or you die. And if you want to put everything on one person to go and march and stand up for you,
you just
and
can't
expect them to save you, It is going to be the utter destruction of what our founding fathers have bestowed upon us for us to pass on to our posterity.
Yep. And to those who are saying that statistically whoever wins Iowa doesn't really stand that great of a chance of winning the whole thing and going on to the general elections, let me just remind you that back in 2000, George W. Bush pulled it off. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of George W. Bush. He got very, very leftist towards the end there, but he did it. Reagan did it. So let's just, well, no, I guess Reagan lost Iowa, didn't he?
Yes.
Okay, but George W. Bush did it. And let's just say it doesn't have to be statistically shown each and every time to be that case. That this does not mean the death knell of Ted Cruz. In fact, every time he makes momentum and he makes headway, that's what you'll hear from the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media and from all of these detente members of the gutless opposition party. These are the people that want to see America fail. Well, we are not going to see America fail. I think we are on the precipice of moving forward. Remember, in 2012, Rick Santorum only won it in the last part of the recounts. It was a terrible thing to see. And the problem was that they were pushing so hard for Mittens Romnikans, and we just can't accept that. Now, folks, it's time for us to begin our descent. Let me just go ahead and raise our glasses to all of you decent people in Iowa right now and say thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for putting Ted Cruz through. This is just monumental. It's incredible. Once again, folks, I'm Randy Wright. I'm your captain. As always, I'm joined by my first officer, Jeremy Grapington. I want to thank you for choosing to fly the Wright Flyer. We definitely look forward to seeing you the next time. We're not going anywhere. We're still here with you. We're still pushing this through. Let's win a great one for America. See you next time.